What systems does Utah use for voting? This graphic shows you that ES&S, or Election System and Software, is used by 27 of the 29 Utah counties. Unison is used by Beaver, and Dominion is used by Salt Lake. Has everyone heard about Dominion? I'm sure you have. Dominion has many issues that have been reported and investigated. But when you research and study the voting systems manufacturers in the United States, you start to question, why is no one talking about ES&S? I will come back to ES&S in a minute. This is from John Oltman's presentation at the Cyber Symposium about Dominion's foreign ties to China. HSBC, the Bank of China, holds Dominion's patents. As seen in this picture, the machines are manufactured in China, arriving in America sealed and must remain sealed to keep their EAC certification. As you saw in the video and in other reports, China could put anything in these machines. It is widely documented that Dominion has ties to Smartmatic, which is owned in part by Hugo Chavez and the Venezuelan government. As you can see in this document, ES&S was the voting system for Venezuela long before Smartmatic. Why are we not seeing stories and investigations into ES&S? Would you be surprised to learn that ES&S has been involved and influenced electronic election systems in the United States since the mid-1970s? That every election system manufacturer uses the same software and basic source code that can be traced back to ES&S? That without ES&S, Dominion would not exist today. There is a distinct pattern of behavior that ES&S uses to divest, move, and share its source code and its features. This is a basic overview of ES&S and how the voting systems in Utah are connected. A lot more can go into this map, just remember this is an overview. Let's start near the center. The electronic voting systems began with brothers Robert, or Bob, and Todd Urovosevich. These brothers began at the Elections Division of Westinghouse. Then in the mid-1970s, investors H.F. Amossam and William F. Welsh allowed them to start their own company, Datamark. Through acquisitions, it became American Information Systems and eventually Election System and Software, or ES&S as we know it today. In 1995, the brother Bob Urovosevich started iMark, which merged with Global Election Systems, and in 2002 renamed to Diebold. In 2007, renamed to Premier Election Systems. During this time, Todd Urovosevich remained at ES&S. Now let's talk Smartmatic. ES&S was the voting system for Venezuela when these three founders of Smartmatic worked at Pana Group and had ties to Chavez. They used funding from the Venezuela government and Hugo Chavez to start Smartmatic. Isn't it strange that Smartmatic had similar features and source code to ES&S? Is it coincidence that the very first year that Smartmatic was used, the election fraud was evident? Was this to protect ES&S? This isn't the last time this pattern has been seen in regards to ES&S and other companies. Sequoia, another voting system manufacturer, purchased Optech from AIS, which is now ES&S, in 1997. Then in 2009 was acquired by Smartmatic, which became Smartmatic Sequoia. Oops, Americans found out that their voting systems are owned by a foreign company. So Sequoia Voting Systems is born once again with headquarters in Florida. Smartmatic is counting on the American people not noticing that this is just on the surface. Shortly after Sequoia's move, ES&S purchases Diebold or Premier Election Systems, uniting the Urovosevich brothers under one company again. With the ES&S now having the control of 70% of the votes in America, an antitrust is filed. This too is a pattern you will see with ES&S to move around software and source code and licensing. Dominion, a Canadian company, is born when they purchase the assets of Diebold from ES&S. ES&S, however, keeps many Diebold contracts with the counties in the United States. Dominion also acquires Sequoia Voting Systems from Smartmatic. In the Hart intercivic lawsuit prior to this purchase, we learned that even with the sale, Smartmatic remained control of the PCOS license. So Dominion still has ties to ES&S and Smartmatic. This time America does not seem concerned with Dominion's foreign ties to Canada. Until it does. Then Dominion relocates to Denver, Colorado. Now look at the leadership of ES&S. I showed you Bob Urovosevich and Diebold, but Bob was also on the board of Seidel during this time. Seidel has ties to the George Soros Foundations and to Lord Mullig Brown through the Open Society. Todd Urovosevich is still at ES&S today. Michael McCarthy has ownership of ES&S with ties through the McCarthy Group and Omaha World Herald, which has ties of its parent company, Berkshire Hathaway. You can see on the map Many other companies tie to those at the top. Again, there is much more that can be added to this, and this is just a basic overview.